New Orleans Saints finally have a head coach. We all knew that this was coming. We all knew that Kellen Moore was going to be the head coach of the Saints. It was a foregone conclusion. Anthony Weaver was the other man in contention. He stays with Miami. As a Dolphins fan, I'm very happy that Anthony Weaver stays with Miami because I think he's a great defensive coach and he would have been a good head coach probably for New Orleans Saints, but instead they go with Kellen Moore, who is, of course, a Super Bowl champion as the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles from Super Bowl 59. So, Kellen Moore, and you can read a little bit more about this in my latest column, my latest blog, whatever you want to call it, for Dolphins Talk. I'll link it in the description down below. But Kellen Moore took over the offense for the Eagles this year. In previous years, Nick Sirianni, initially when he went there, called the plays, handed over to Shane Steichen, but still developed the game plan. When Steichen became the head coach of the Colts, they promoted Ben Johnson. Nope, they promoted the quarterback coach to be the next offensive coordinator. He unfortunately wasn't that great. He ended up getting fired last year. And there were a lot of questions about whether Nick Sirianni would stick around as well and if he was going to become less involved with the offense. He hires Kellen Moore, obviously a very experienced offensive coordinator. He was over in Los Angeles the year before with the Chargers. Now he came over, and before that, of course, he was with the Cowboys, had Dak Prescott playing MVP levels. He comes over to Philadelphia. He revamps the offense. The offense is a really high point of the season for the Eagles. He has a more focus on running. Obviously, Saquon Barkley almost has 2,000 yards. The, pretty much run through the playoffs with really only the Rams giving them a difficult time. And even then, they didn't slow them down too much on offense. They make the Super Bowl. They blow out the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, big help from Vic Fangio and that defense, but that offense was also humming during the Super Bowl. And now Kellen Moore is rewarded with the Saints head coaching job, which, it's a tough spot to be just because the Saints really mortgaged their future when Drew Brees was still with the team to try to win then. They didn't win. He is now taking over a team that has a lot of dead cap. They have Derek Carr. Is Derek Carr going to stick around with the Saints? I feel that's probably unlikely. We'll see who Kellen Moore brings in to replace him, if there's anybody from the Eagles or, the Chargers or Cowboys backups that he really thought he had a good relationship with and could potentially play very well. If he'll pick any of them to come along with him to potentially, you know, be the starter for New Orleans or at least compete for a starting job. There's also been reports that, speaking of Los Angeles Chargers, former head coach Brandon Staley, he's a very good defensive coordinator, wasn't a great head coach. He is potentially going to come with Kellen Moore to the Saints. I think that's great. Obviously, they worked in the opposite situation where Kellen Moore was the coordinator, Brandon Staley was the head coach in Los Angeles. Now it'll be reversed. I think that shows that they must be close if they're willing to be in a new dynamic like this. So ultimately, I do like the hire for the Saints. Again, the job itself right now is in a difficult spot, but if you can have an offensive coordinator who can get maybe the most out of certain players, maybe you can cover up on the fact that you don't have necessarily tons of assets in order to succeed there. So, congratulations to Saints fans. Congratulations to Kellen Moore being a head coach. What a huge deal and huge opportunity for him. And we will see how it ends up working out down in the Bayou.